What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Studio presented by Saratoga Springwater for another Sundance 2023 interview. I have the team behind Theater Camp. Congratulations on your movie, guys.
Thank you.
I have not seen it. I can't wait to hear more about it. I have seen the short, though, so I feel like I've got a good sense of what I'm in for with this. For anyone who is credited as a writer on this, I'm going to throw this to one of you, but most of our audience will not know what your movie is just yet. So can you give a brief synopsis of Theater Camp?
Sure. Theater Camp is about a rundown upstate New York theater camp that kind of falls into disarray when their beloved founder falls into a coma, and the reins of the camp fall to her bro son, Troy, and he has to sort of find his way in this very theatrical and intense community. But it's also just a portrait of the camp and what it means to like have a place where outcasts can kind of come together through their shared passion.
Okay, so feature directorial debut here. It's not easy to get your first feature off the ground. So can you guys maybe pinpoint a misconception about what it takes to make a first feature as a director happen? But then also, what is a piece of advice that you got that actually was useful? You used it and it was key to getting this film off the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big kind of thing that we took, a piece of advice that was given to us and that kept happening was that mistakes are going to happen all the time. Everything's going to fall apart. You're going to lose your financing and you're just going to have to reinvent. And every obstacle is an opportunity for a new idea. And a movie is made up of your compromises and your mistakes, and they end up being beautiful, and to not freak out about those things. And I feel like once we got zen with that, we really found our groove.
Sounds like life lessons too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I need to clip that out and just keep it in my back pocket.
yeah.
Molly, for you, do you remember a specific time that, a specific film or experience you had that first sparked the itch to direct, maybe something that actually made you feel like, you know what, I could do that too? When my parents introduced me to Robert Altman and John Cassavetes movies, I was just so floored with the freedom that they both allowed their actors to have. And I was like, oh my God, I want to create a space where people can play in that way. And Nora Ephron, so many people. But it also, I got the itch from just being friends with all these amazing people and being an actor and working off of wonderful other actors and wanting to give them opportunities where they could actually get to own their roles, because as an actor you don't always have much control. And so I really wanted to have this sandbox where they could come and kind of do what they want a little bit, with clear boundaries too. I'll open this up to the whole group here because you've all worked on a lot of sets, had a lot of experiences. With that idea in mind, can you pinpoint a time on this set when you had the freedom to do something with your character or the production overall that even with all your experience, you've never had before?
Molly and I, we get to do a lot of our stuff together in the film, and we spent a lot of time, the four of us, writing a very detailed script for the movie, and it was very largely written, but a lot of room for improvisation. And we had a moment where there was a schedule change and a whole snafu, and somebody wasn't available, and their hours with children, so certain children weren't available. And basically we ended up with this slot of time to utilize that we didn't know we were going to have. And so Molly and I got to jump in and improvise this scene, part of which has ended up in the film, where we're working on a writing of a musical together that gets written by our characters in the movie. And it was very frightening to kind of jump in. This is one of the first things that Molly and I got to do together, but it, I think, really set the tone for the set just feeling like a space where there's no wrong answers, and that we were going to use every moment we could and really lean into the flexibility as a strength. And I think that it's one of my favorite moments in the movie.
Can anyone think about a time on set, going back to what you were just saying about being able to kind of roll with the punches here, a time on set when you were all standing there and you're like, I don't know how this is going to work, we're not going to make our day, or something of the sorts, and you guys found a creative way to pivot, found some unexpected magic, and the scene is better off for it?
I'd say that was every day, every moment. But it was like every single day was another problem to creatively solve, And I think it was nice that it felt like such a collaboration. It felt like all hands on deck, and what a group of like brilliant minds to be those hands, you know?
No, I'll throw this one to you because you also worked on the short film. When you all first came up with the idea to turn that into a feature, what would you say is the biggest difference between how you envisioned the feature then and what you guys wound up with?
I mean, just, you know, purely like content wise, if you look at like our first draft, there are probably like 7 additional characters that were there that got cut. We had like a whole other framing device for the film for sort of like window in. But that's sort of the beauty of it, you know? It was like this 5-year process of us as a foursome just going over to Ben's house and eating salad and
only salad.
And only salad. But just like really trying to find it together. And I think we managed to put something together that we all feel really proud of.
It's so exciting. I love hearing that. I love hearing about when teams stick together, because I feel like it's a very special thing in this business when you find the right collaborators that you can trust and feel the need to continue on with. A lot of you have that, but then there's a bunch of newcomers to the scenario here. So Patti, Owen, Jimmy, I'll throw this one to you. I think I specifically read in the press notes, and I love reading things like this, that everyone who worked on the short has a shared creative language and trust, and you've had that since some of you were 13 years old, which is pretty incredible. But for the 3 of you being newer and stepping into that world, is that intimidating? And is there anything about that history between the collaborators that you're working with that you found enhanced your own experience?
Just the lack of kind of knowing in anything what it's going to be, what the experience is going to be like. But there was this like strange calm. I feel like I was lucky enough to know, it's like one of the only things I worked on where I was lucky enough to know like everyone who was kind of steering in like such a positive way, that they're all so funny and nice, and it just like there was a comfort in knowing that they were so excited about how fun it was going to be. Their enthusiasm behind it was like very reassuring. So even though I kind of, because there was like the improv element of it that left a lot of questions going into it, you did feel like, I don't know, I can only speak for myself.
Thank you.
But I had like, I was like, there's no way it's at the very least not going to be like fun. And I am cut from the film. I know you haven't seen it yet. But I have an amazing publicist, so I'm here at the table.
I've known Molly since I was 2. And she's been a sister to me ever since. And so just becoming a part of her world with her best friends and integrating into her life, and all of them then becoming my best friends, has just been like a magical experience. And so yes, like the improv was scary. It was like, what am I gonna say? I actually don't know. But it was amazing. It was such a collaborative experience, and these people are so funny. So it was magical. It was great.
I just want to say I've known Molly since I was 30.
Yeah.
Thank you,
that's 20 years.
I was just gonna say, I think the just like the collaborative nature of the project was just very contagious, and being the new guy, like I didn't know any of them before this, but stepping into what was clearly a group of very close friends making something together, you never really know how that's gonna go. And as someone who, you know, makes my own stuff and like works with friends, it just made me so happy, like just genuinely so happy for them to just watch everything work and come together. And they made such a great team. And like I didn't even like, I'm like a week in, I barely knew them like before this, and I just was like proud. Like I just felt proud of them. I was like, I'm just so happy for you guys to like be able to make such a cool thing with your best friends and just be a part of it. It was awesome.
Molly, I'll throw this one to you. It's really special and unusual to be able to make a connection at such a young age with so many people, and to actually maintain, like, what's the secret sauce? Like, I don't know what the starting point is, but there's so many people out there who go to film school, who go to theater camp, and you know, you do those programs and then you say goodbye to those people, and there's no guarantee that you'll see even a single one of them later on in life. But I don't know, you guys seem to have stuck together, and that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I've paid all of them to still be my friends.
You are paid in salad.
I was paid in salad, which I only eat. No, I don't know what it is. I think it's them being very special, and like even I met Patti a couple years ago, and I was like, oh my god, like we're made of the same kind. Like I felt I don't know. I just feel like I keep getting led to the right people and collecting them along the way, and I don't know what it is, but what I'm excited about with this movie is that it feels like it's all of our shared humor, and we all just did what like when Noah makes me laugh, that's just in the movie. And so it's fun to have this like piece that's like, oh, this is that humor. I think everybody's humor is in this movie, and it's like a combination of that.
Oh my, many follow-ups. I want to go back to the improv first, because I know for some, jumping into a film that has a significant amount of that can be very intimidating. So what is, I don't know, one tip or trick or tool you would give to another actor out there who is intimidated to try improv for the first time?
I would say the most inappropriate, horrible thing you can first, and then let the directors be like, that was crazy, let's dial it back. That's how I started.
Yeah, just go as hard as you can right out of the gate. I think improv is a good tool, like a good muscle to work, even if you don't feel good at it. I think it's a good, if you're acting, it's a good like thing to pursue for at least a little bit until you humiliate yourself. And then you should quit and then go into underwater welding, which is what I'm doing right now.
I think it's helpful, like, after you do a couple takes of something, you can kind of start to feel the moments where you want to go off a little bit and you want to explore those moments. And I think, I don't know, I think I like doing a couple takes first where you're just kind of getting into the right flow. And then you just get to really explore those moments that you could both feel were wanted to happen, and then just kind of let them.
I think as writers, the four of us, we've experienced improv from both directions, and I think we really wanted to create a situation where no matter where you were coming into the project from in terms of your own comfortability or experience with improv, you felt protected and like you were in the right space to really go for it. And so I think we tried, in terms of the structure of how we would write things, to always have a very clear place to begin, and if it was a particularly story-heavy moment or sequence or scene, even have a written scene to begin with, and just always have a landing pad, so that, which on occasion would make it into the film, but often was just a beautiful takeoff point, so that people felt like the pressure wasn't on coming in with all of this content ready. It was just knowing exactly what your parameters are, and feeling, even in the midst of free flying, which is what improv is, that you're not entirely without a parachute of some kind.
Yeah, it was great, I will say, because I was so nervous about not like where to take the character and like what information I can add, and like, because you don't know what like what other actors are going to improvise like later on in the movie or whatever. But it was so guided. I think Nick and Molly were like you were saying, or I think it was in this interview, that it was like they were so present and being like more of that. Like if you were kind of hitting something that was, you like knew instantly if you were doing something right, which felt really great.
When you can't remember which interview you said something in, that's when you're doing Sundance right, because that means you're getting the widest possible platform for your movie. I love that.
You can't see, there's a big hole in the back of my head. My brain is just dripping out.
I have that same hole in the back of my brain. I wanted to go back to what you were saying about the idea of this movie being filled with things that like you all find funny, and I guess I'll throw this to you. What is it like working with material like that, but knowing that it's accessible to the widest possible audience, and it's not just funny to you, but it'll be funny and maybe thematically relevant to the widest possible viewership?
Yeah, well, I think that keys into the sort of, like, because we knew we were making an improvised movie, we definitely wanted to have the discipline of having a really clear structure, having a really clear set of like being on the rails, like we wanted characters that were not just from this world of theater. And so I think the idea of just trying to tell like an authentically heartfelt story in that world makes it more universal. even if we are throwing in a couple Cheetah Rivera references, and and so I
Well, I was gonna say, I think Ben got this advice that like sometimes the most niche, specific
Right.
things
Specificity
can be the
begets
most universal.
universality.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I think this is particular to this movie that we're writing, what's at the very core of our passion. Like in terms of like write what you know, we kind of really took that to heart. And it's what brought us together in the first place. The four of us in different ways. Molly and I started doing theater together when we were children, and Nick and I in high school, and with Molly and Noah in our late teens and early 20s. And so I think that's really palpable, that shared passion. So even if it's not necessarily circumstantially, you're not a theater person per se, I feel like you can feel the love that we have for that. And I think that anybody can connect that to whatever it is that centers them and their community. And hopefully that's what makes it a very accessible, kind of heartfelt story.
So in the short, I know you guys poke fun at certain like theater camp and industry cliches. I'm assuming the same thing is true of the feature. So what's an example of something you all experienced in this industry or in theater camp or wherever else you studied that you were especially excited to like skewer in this movie, and maybe it was cathartic for you?
I mean, I definitely think the way in which theater teachers will introduce material that is like far too mature for the children
Right.
that they're educating is like so like funny, especially with the like earnestness with which they do that.
Yeah, I think just generally watching people who take themselves a little too seriously is funny, and I think the universe of theater is filled with people who take themselves very, very seriously. And it's something we wanted to like honor, but also make fun of a little bit,
I don't think this movie would have worked if it wasn't made by four people that genuinely like love and come from theater. Like you can't really make fun of something without it coming off as mean, unless deep down you truly love it.
That's right.
And I think that really comes across.
That's beautiful, Jimmy.
I feel like what I'll say is my character, I think, is like a on the business side, villain-esque, villain-y. And I feel like I was really excited to get to play someone who, in terms of like the business side of the entertainment industry, seeing a lot of people who have completely dead-eyed faces who will say the worst thing you'll ever hear to your face with like a in the most like syrupy tone. Just getting to play with that, playing with
Really
my
nailed
dead-eyed,
that,
my
too.
dead face, empty heart, can't lose.
But like there's so many like 75 moments of Patti doing that aren't in the movie. So many moments of us that aren't in the movie because she's not in the movie. She was cut from the movie. No, but so many moments of us making fun of other theater stuff. Like we could have like a mini series of us just poking fun of industry stuff that are like, because we just have so much footage, but maybe like shouldn't be released because then maybe we wouldn't get to work again. But yeah. Well, maybe we'll release that.
Speak a series into existence.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Manifest
yeah.
things here.
Yeah.
All right, I have to let you guys go soon. You're getting my favorite game, and you guys are the only ones who are getting this because it's an ensemble. You clearly know each other very well.
Uh-oh,
My-
that's terrifying.
My favorite subgenre
I'm
is the
laughing.
slasher movie subgenre.
Okay.
I am going to put you all in a slasher movie right now, and I have cliches from those movies, and I want you to tell me which person, like real person, not their character, best suits the description I'm about to give you and why.
That's fun.
And I'm just going to make the rule. First person to shout out an answer says the right answer. So good luck to you all. Who is most likely to not realize that they're in a horror movie and to go and investigate a strange noise and be the first one to die?
Owen.
Why?
Thank you.
There's a sort of a childlike wonder about Owen, and I think if you were to hear a strange noise, he'd be like, "Let's go, you guys! It could be a fun adventure."
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I would call all of you and be like, I'm here. I just got killed.
I feel like that turned into a compliment. I like that. Who is the most likely to sacrifice themselves for the others?
Maybe Nikki.
I would say Nick or Jimmy.
It's very sweet.
I'll say Nick.
I'll say Jimmy.
Here's a less flattering one. Who is the most likely to trip and fall while running from the killer?
Molly.
Unfortunately,
Absolutely, Molly, through and through.
There's no denial there,
No,
so I'm
I think
assuming
if
you're
there's anybody
accepting
that's
this.
like a clumsy person at this table, it's Molly.
Yeah, I got it.
Who is the most likely to be the first one to figure out who the killer is?
Ben.
Ben or Nick.
Ben, I could see Ben piecing it together very fast. Yes.
I feel like Ben would have a good like realization face. Like the like
A sort of like, like that's so Raven.
Purely for the coverage, it's me.
This is my favorite one. Who is the most likely to realize there's a slasher and just say, you know what, fuck this, too scary, I'm leaving. And just
Patty.
leave?
Patty, absolutely Patty.
I'm brave.
No, but I think Patty would say that like to the murderer's face.
Yeah, 100%.
Patty would sort of
She
go.
would be like, I just ordered an Uber.
You're doing a lot. You know?
Well, I've been working on therapy on my codependence, on my conflict aversion, so I feel more assertive than ever in 2023. So I think I would have the tools, communication tools, to activate
That's
that
beautiful.
conversation with an abuser. A killer is an abuser. Let's just look at it that way.
Let's say it how it is.
Justification right there. All right, I'm gonna give you two more. Who's the most likely to be the last one standing?
I want to say Noah for some
Yeah,
reason.
Yeah,
Noah's very
yeah.
savvy
Really
and street
I
smart.
feel like Noah would slip through.
I feel like Jimmy.
Not so little.
I feel like
Ratatouille.
Noah, but Jimmy, you'd be the person that like they think that has a death scene in the beginning, but that comes back at the end. It's like in the truck,
Do
and
you
you're like
know
all
what
bloody.
my-
But you're,
Do you know what my last question is? Who is most likely to be the person that you thought died but comes back at the last possible second to save the day?
Absolutely, Jimmy.
We have a winner. I have to let you go. You guys have a lot of promoting to do. Huge congratulations on Theater Camp. It is hands down one of the movies I'm most excited to see at this festival.
Thank you.
Enjoy your time here. To everybody out there, keep an eye out for Theater Camp, and we'll see you soon with more Sundance 2023 interviews.